Good evening, Facebook Live. Apostle Terrence Lyons of Ecclesia Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Coming to you again tonight, bringing you tonight's Bible study. Pray that your week's been well. Pray that everything's flowing right along for you and you're able to walk in the fullness of the kingdom and everything in life be in subjection to you instead of you being in subjection to it. So you can see I probably ain't gonna do right tonight. Good evening there, Prophetess Tanisha. So we ready to get good and chomping at the bit here. Been definitely preparing some things. Good evening there, sis. Preparing some things to help turn some things around. That's the biggest thing, because I want to make sure as we go through this. Good evening, Prophet Monica. Good evening, Mr. Clarence and Miss Linda. As we keep going through the process of things that are happening and things that are going on. Good evening there, Overseer Melissa. As we keep dealing with the different stuff that keeps popping up, and it's going to keep popping up. It's part of the process. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them out of them all. In this world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome it. Many different things that are in the Word letting us know stuff gonna happen. It's part of the process. But we all right. So the key is, if you see our question tonight, y'all probably already knew from the question. Oh, Lord. What in the world is he asking this kind of question for? Have you embraced your wilderness yet? Because the thing that you've got to understand is that wilderness is part of the process. Wilderness is you don't get out of it. You don't get to go from what held you in bondage directly to what you've been promised. That's not how it works. You would not be equipped. That the process of mind management and why I've taken this past year, and we're coming up on our 50th message on Saturday, why we've taken that process and going through those messages in the particular way that we have is so that everybody could begin to have a self-awareness of how to think, what to focus on, what you really put your mind on, and how you really direct towards it. The reason that's so crucial is, again, knowing how to be you, have no guile, and be able to do that in any kind of environment is why that's important. So when you're being abased, know how to be you and have no guile. When you're in between abased and abounding, know how to be you and have no guile. And then when you get to abounding, know how to be you and have no guile. Getting to the place of where that's a consistent thing for you, because you're going to adjust through a bunch of stuff in life. You're going to have to. That's part of the process. And in adjusting through that bunch of stuff, so for instance, now I'm becoming the fullness of who Terrence Lyons is after 30 years of marriage. Because who I became while I was in it and some of the things that were happening while I was in it caused me to not fully be completely me. Now I was able to still do all of the things that I'm a part of. But that was, I realize now, at the expense of some of me being fully me. Now it wasn't a lot, and it wasn't anything bad or of detriment or anything of that nature. But I understand why I had to deal with that, what I had to come to the conclusion of, what I had to see about me and how I manage certain things, including myself. And in the process of doing that, that's when God began to show me, okay, you need to teach them about how to embrace their wilderness, how to embrace what it is that's causing you to take a look at you. So I want to kick this off tonight. I want you to look at one of the passages that I had you to look at in Jeremiah chapter 9, verses 20 through 26. I'm going to go ahead and tell you all that I love you. I'm going to put it in a blanket form, start it out early, get you to the awareness of I love you. Some of tonight is going to hurt. Some of tonight is going to challenge you. Some of tonight is going to come at your core of your being. But I promise you it's okay. I promise you if you'll just walk with me and you'll go through what is actually going to transpire tonight and get us ready for Saturday, because I ain't even worried about no snow or nothing else. Whether it comes or whether it don't, guess who gonna be in the building? God will be in the building and I will be here with him. So this is what I want you to get. In Jeremiah chapter 9, verses 20 through 26, it says this. It says, "Yet hear the word of the Lord, O ye women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth, and teach your daughters wailing, and every one her neighbor lamentation. For death is come up into our windows, and is entered into our palaces, to cut off the children from without, the young men from the streets. Speak thus saith the Lord, even the carcasses of men shall fall as dung upon the open field, and as the handful after the harvestman, and none shall gather them. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am the Lord, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Lord." And I know what some of you are probably thinking. Pastor, you read this last week. I know I did. But I want you to see something different this week. So watch verses 25 and 26. So he says this, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will punish all them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised, Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that are in the uttermost corners, that dwell in the wilderness. For all these nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart." Okay, point number one of tonight. Sometimes your familiarity is what's hindering your comprehension. Okay? Sometimes your familiarity is what's hindering your comprehension. Remember Saturday, I talked about, understanding, being comprehension of information. One of the things that I want you to get out of these things that are being said here in Jeremiah 9, after you've gotten so familiar with certain things, that familiarity will cause you to not be able, watch this, to understand change sometimes. Ooh. Familiarity will cause you to not be able to comprehend change sometimes. The fact that the familiarity is what will hinder your comprehension sometimes is very vital, because now I'm going to dig right into the second point that I want you to get tonight. So to get that second point, I want you to go to John chapter 1 and verse 5. John chapter 1 and verse 5. Because in John chapter 1 and verse 5, it says this. John chapter 1, verse 5, it says, "And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not." Wait a minute. So light shined in darkness, and darkness didn't understand light. Why would darkness not understand light? Because as soon as you turn the light on, darkness has to go away. Here's why I need you to get this. Darkness can't comprehend light because darkness is used to darkness. Darkness is familiar with darkness. Darkness is not familiar with light. So see, sometimes you done got so familiar with your family, there's things that you can't comprehend that your family does, even when light shined on it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. See, because truth be told, there's some stuff that you don't even understand about yourself right now, because you've gotten familiar with not being you. I love you. I told you, I gave you the blanket, I love you. You've gotten so familiar with not being you that now having to take an honest look at everything because of what's going on with the economy, with the war, with the pandemic, with everything else. So now having to take a look at the not you that you've gotten familiar with is now causing you a struggle to look at the real you. So point number 2 that I want you to understand, because the light shineth in darkness and darkness comprehended it not, you can't effectively comprehend what you won't fully embrace. I love you. You can't comprehend what you won't fully embrace. See, some of you are still so focused on keeping comfortable. In the midst of everything that's going on, you're still so focused on keeping comfortable that you can't fully embrace the complete reality of what's going on. Therefore, you can't comprehend what needs to be done so that you can endure what's going on and advance the way that God desires for you to advance. Have you embraced your wilderness yet? See, hopefully y'all see why I told you I love you at the very beginning. Because I want you to get this. I want you to understand this. So now I want you to go to Ephesians chapter 3, because in order to understand that you can't effectively comprehend what you won't fully embrace, Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 21, I had you to look at those as one of your passages of scripture as well. This is going to help reinforce this point because some of y'all have gotten to a mentality about family, and watch this, that mentality about family is what's keeping you from even having the fullness of the mindset and the mentality of a world without end. So families got you to the place that you can't even embrace a world without end. Because, truth be told, some of y'all's family is your wilderness. Some of y'all's family is your wilderness, and you won't fully embrace them. Here's what I need you to get about this. It's about to get tight and right up in here, up in here. Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 21 says this. Watch this. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 14 through 21. He says, "For this cause I bow my knees unto the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, of whom the whole family," watch this, the whole family in heaven and in earth. Now that's important, because he's not talking about just one. In heaven and in earth is named, that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man. So watch where we're going. That Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye, being rooted and grounded in love. See, if you're rooted and grounded in love, that's why I started talking about love last week. When you're rooted and grounded in love, you have no choice but to embrace a world without end mentality, because love beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things, including family, including those that are not wanting to do right. And you done got familiar with their not wanting to do right. And instead of you understanding how love will convert it, you've been looking at, I just want them to get to digging. Or, watch this, or I just want to get to digging. See, because what I want you to get is this right here. Because it goes on and says in verse 18, watch this, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all saints. Now that says all saints. That doesn't say the mature ones. It doesn't say the immature ones. It doesn't say the in-between ones. It says all of them. So if it's all the saints, that includes your saved family that's acting unsaved. I told y'all I love you. I tried to lay it out to you. I'm trying to make it plain that I'm just not going to do right. So watch this. So it goes on. It says, may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth, the length, the depth, and the height, and to know, the love of Christ, which passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with all the fullness of God. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Unto him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus throughout all ages, world without end. So verses 17 through 19 are showing you how love has to play such a part of you being rooted and grounded so that you'll be able to deal with all of the saints, all of the part-time saints, all of the full-time saints, all of the questionable ain'ts, all of them. You'll be able to deal with them because you're rooted and grounded in love. Those that live with you, those that are family, those that are not family, those that... Okay, watch this. The thing I really want you to get, and I love y'all, but the reason that I told y'all I love y'all at the very beginning is pretty much about the statement that I'm fixing to give you and what I'm fixing to really talk about out of verse 15. Because in verse 15... it says, of whom the whole family in heaven and in earth is named. Truth be told, part of the reason that some of y'all won't fully embrace your wilderness yet is because of how you see family. Your view of family right now, your earthly family, is what's playing a part in hindering you from embracing your wilderness. So here's what I need you to get. I now want you to go to the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verses 26 through 31. Watch this. Numbers chapter 13, verses 26 through 31, because there's something that a lot of people miss about what takes place with the children of Israel coming out of Egypt and going into the promised land. What's missed is how spies are sent to go look at the land. When you look at Numbers chapter 13, if you read that whole chapter, again, we're just looking at and focusing on verses 26 through 31. But if you go back to the beginning and look at the whole chapter, what you will see is that there was a person chosen out of each tribe. And I know that was done strategically because each tribe, watch this, and how families viewed, needed to hear the report from how their families viewed. See, the family view plays a very big part in how you receive reports of what's going on around you. That's why some of y'all are scared of the news. You're still scared. Even though I said something about it a couple of weeks ago, you're still scared to look at the news. You still don't want to pay it no attention. You still want to stick your head in the sand and then are wondering why gas prices making changes, all different types of things happening. And like, when this happened? Well, pretty much yesterday, but you missed it because you closed yourself off from looking at reality. That's why I want to make sure that you are constantly taking a look at reality. You not listening, watch this, not listening about reality from somebody else. You need to see it for yourself. Because even just hearing it from me, watch this, because I'm not shaken by it. I'm not going to be shaken by it, period. I don't care what comes up. I don't care what happens. I'm not going to be shaken by it. I understand that with a world without end mentality, God's got me no matter what happens. My job is that I pay attention to the reality that's going on, but yet stay focused on the God who's got not only that reality, but me under control too. So as long as I'm staying focused on him, recognizing what's going on with reality, hearing what he's telling me to do, and then following the instructions, I don't care what goes on. It's not going to affect me at all, period. But I got to do my part. Here's why I'm wanting you to get this. In Numbers chapter 13, verses 26 through 31, I want you to see what happens here, and then I'm going to give you the third point. Numbers 13, chapter 26, verse 26 through 31 says this. It says, and they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran. So they come to the wilderness. All right? They're in the wilderness. Now this is what I need you to get. To Kadesh. And brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, we came into the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. Watch verse 30 and 31. Verse 30 and 31 are the keys. Caleb stilled the people before Moses. So Caleb sees, watch this, he's paying attention and listening to what is being said. And he can hear the direction that conversation and that report is fixing to go. So he stills the people. He's like, all right, I see this is headed south. I see that this right here, that Thanksgiving dinner finna go left because they started talking about this at the Thanksgiving table. Christmas dinner is fixing to go down the tubes because they fixing to start talking about this at the table. Caleb stills the people and says this. Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once. He said, y'all thinking too hard about this. Y'all are forgetting that God has taken care of us up to this point. He let us come out of Egypt. He's done split the Red Sea. He's done all of these different things for us. We can go in and take this. Yeah, I saw it too, but we can do it. Caleb stilled the people, said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. These gas prices, we are well able to overcome it. Pandemic, we are well able to overcome it. Inflation, we are well able to overcome it. Any type of sickness, any type of disease, any type of war, we are well able to overcome it as long as we will keep our focus on him. But if you don't, verse 31 is your portion. Because verse 31 says, but the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people. We don't know what to do with a pandemic. We don't know what to do with inflation. We don't know what to do with gas prices going up. Let's blame it on the Democrats. Let's blame it on the Republicans. Let's blame it on the Russians. Let's blame it on Ukraine. Let's blame it on all of the small countries. Let's blame it on all of these things. Shut up. Don't blame it on nobody. Get your butt in front of God. Do what you need to do. Focus on him because he's already brought you through so much that you can't even give a solid comparison as to why he can't bring you out of this. You can't. But watch this, because I got to give you this third point. World without end mentality requires believing that nothing can hinder your progress. And part of that mentality is birthed in the wilderness. That's where it's birthed. in the wilderness. This is where they're at. They're in the wilderness. But Caleb has got enough balance. See, because that's what some of y'all need to do. Y'all need to balance it out. Bounce it out. See, because you staying focused on too much of the wrong thing. So Caleb's got enough balance between, hey, I know what we done came out of. I done seen what's going to oppose us. We are well able to overcome it. Let's do it. But the man that went up with him was like, no, we be not able to go up against the people. They stronger than us. Here's why I need you to understand this. See, now I want you to go to Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through 32. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through 32. This is another one of the passages that I had you to look up. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through 32 says this. Because when you get what I'm about to show you, y'all understand why I told you I love you, but at the same time, you're going to understand why I'm encouraging you to get up, dust yourself off, handle your business. Do what you got to do, because you got this. You can overcome anything. You can do it. But it all starts right here. So watch this. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through 32 says this. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. Watch this. But that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. See, the issue is some of y'all ain't even speaking grace to yourself. Because you hear what you saying. So if you saying, man, I don't know what I'm going to do about these gas prices. I guess guess what you finna start believing? That you don't know what you gonna do. Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do if inflation keeps going up. Guess what you're gonna start believing? That you don't know what you're gonna do. This is why it's so important with the confessions that I give y'all, with the things that I've given you to help you begin to speak to yourself daily. And speak over your family daily, so that no weapon formed against you will prosper, so that no news report will override what you done spoke over yourself. Here's why I need you to get this. In verse 30, he says, and grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. So point number 4, I love you. But the reason that I'm always trying to get y'all to express yourself, to have no guile, to hold tough, hard conversations, to discuss things, is to keep you from getting bitter. Now he's telling you there in verse 31, let all bitterness, wrath, and anger, and clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you. But when you won't speak, and when you won't have that hard conversation, and when you've gotten just so familiar with family that you believe that they'll never change, and you just let that keep building up in you, then you begin to establish a root of bitterness. And if you establish a root of bitterness, and then you finally do talk about it, it's a fight. Here's what I need you to get. Point number 4, if you fight from bitterness, you haven't embraced your wilderness yet. I done got tired of being sick and tired, and now I'm fixing to just, hold on, don't do it from there. Because if you do it from there, you're doing it from bitterness. You're doing it from being tired. We got to make sure that if you're going to fight it, because it needs to be fought. I'm not negating the fact that it needs to be fought. That ain't what I'm not telling you don't fight it. I'm telling you don't fight it from bitterness. Fight it from righteousness. Somebody type that in for me. Fight it from righteousness. It needs to be fought. It just don't need to be fought from bitterness. Because if it's fought from a root of bitterness, guess what it's going to establish if you win it? Bitterness. See, this is why I need you to get this as we get ready to go into this last point. Like, man, we got he landed the plane early. Yeah. Y'all don't want me to keep going too long on this, because this is what I need you to understand. I want you to go to Joshua chapter 5, verses 1 through 8. Joshua chapter 5, verses 1 through 8 are about to revolutionize your mind when I show you what you need to see. Because in Joshua chapter 5, verses 1 through 8, this is what it says. Joshua chapter 5, verses 1 through 8 says this. Because I want you to get this. This right here is vital for where you're going to be going over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because it's going to be some stuff that's going to get under your skin. It's going to attempt to get under your skin. It's going to have you out in left field, going to have you hot, heated. Hey, y'all, that. I done already had to deal with some. But what I need for you to get is this right here. In Joshua chapter 5, verses 1 through 8, it says this. It says, and it came to pass when all the kings of the Amorites, which on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel until we were passed over, that their heart melted. Neither was there spirit in them any more, because of the children of Israel. That's verse 1, okay? And I want you to see that to help you understand this. Your enemy really doesn't even have a heart to deal with you right now. But you ain't embraced your wilderness. You ain't fully believing how God's got you. So your enemy is scared, but you too scared to deal with your scared. Your enemy is already scared, but you too scared to deal with your scared enemy. and what I need for you to get out of this, it is because, see, some of y'all don't know how to deal with war, how to deal with a fight, how to deal with a conflict, unless you are in a place of bitterness or anger. And that's not good. So what I've got to help you with is I've got to help you with learning how to fight with righteousness. Because when you learn how to fight with righteousness, you're going to understand how to deal with and fight the same war, but you're going to do it in a way that you're not trying to just completely annihilate them with just clouds of thunder. But at the same time, you understand, if you don't wipe them out, they're going to wipe you out. So the key is, we ain't doing this out of anger. We're doing this out of righteousness. We're doing this out of assignment, okay? This is why I need for you to get this, because we're going into a crucial pocket of time. Because there's going to be some things that are going to be happening in y'all's lives, just like it's going to be happening in mine. There's going to be some things happening in y'all's lives that are going to require for you to cut some good people off. It's going to require for you to cut some good situations, what's seemingly been a good situation, but you're going to have to cut it away, because the issue is it's not taking you to where he promised you. That's the key. This is what I need for you to get. Because in verse 2, he says this. At that time, the Lord said unto Joshua, make these sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. Now pay close attention to what I'm fixing to show you. Because remember the question, have you embraced your wilderness yet? Goes on and says in verse 3, and Joshua made him sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise. Pay close attention to verse number 4. This is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. So they weren't circumcising people that were already circumcised. They were circumcising people that was born in the wilderness. You have to understand that there's some things that were birthed in you in your wilderness. And now they got to be circumcised. That's what's been going on with you over the past couple of weeks. He's saying, okay, this was born in you in the wilderness, and now it needs to be circumcised before I can walk you into what I promised you. If I'm making sense to you, just type making sense. Just put that in there, because I need for you to get this before I show you this next point and give you the last point of the night through these last couple of scriptures. Just put it makes sense. Because if it's not, I'll go back and I will make it make sense, because you got to have this before we get where we need to get to. So watch this. He goes on and says, and in verse 4, I'll read verse 4 again, because that's our key pivotal point. This is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. Now, all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, they had not circumcised. Verse 6, for the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, watch this, were consumed because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, unto whom the Lord sware that he would not show them the land which the Lord sware unto their fathers, that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey. So this is what I need you to get about this. Right here, he's saying, I told them we were going to go into the promised land. They didn't believe me. They didn't obey me. So since they didn't obey me and wouldn't believe me, I had to let them walk around until they died off. Watch this. In the process of them dying off, in the process of them walking around and dying off in that specific time in the wilderness, some children were birthed from them. Now watch this. They weren't in Egypt when they were birthed. They were in the wilderness when they were birthed. But within their DNA, there was some Egypt. Just like in your DNA, there was some Egypt. There was some Egypt in your DNA. And that's what's being circumcised now. That's what's being removed now. It ain't all bad. It's just, he's wanting to cut away what's keeping you from freely producing. So it's in this time and season that he's beginning to put together a process. That he's saying, okay, I know they were good for you back there, but they ain't good for you over here. They got to go. And oh, by the way, part of your mentality that got built back here, that's got to be circumcised before even you can go. So here's what I need you to get so that I can show you this last point. Woo! Watch this. Verse 7 and verse 8. And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. Point number 5. Part of embracing your wilderness is accepting the circumcision that's needed on what was birthed in the wilderness before possessing what you've been promised in your promised land. Part of you fully embracing your wilderness is circumcising what's been birthed in that wilderness. See, some of y'all got so much pride about what you birthed in wilderness because it was birthed away from bondage. See, you got away from the bondage, and then God did some things through you. You won't even circumcise them. And you fighting the circumcision right now. See, I'm not fighting. I am surrendering. Lord, cut it away. Lord, tell them bye for me if you don't want me to tell them bye. Whatever is being cut away, embrace the wilderness of it. Be okay with them going on their way. Be okay with them going on their way. Somebody type that in for me. That ain't in the notes. But that's what basically you are going to have to get to the place of. You're going to have to be okay with them going on their way. 910 Ridgely Road, Suite H, here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Exclusive Ecclesia, around about 10:30ish. Here on Facebook, if you have not received an invite, you can become a part of Exclusive Ecclesia. Y'all, y'all just don't know how hard this is right now. See, because with everything that's going on in the United States, worldwide, everything that's going on within our personal lives, every ounce of it is about wilderness. And if you'll fully embrace it, if you'll be okay with them going on their way, if you will surrender to the circumcision of what has been birthed in your wilderness, I promise you, world without end will be your portion. 910 Ridgely Road, Suite H, here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Exclusive Ecclesia, around about 10:30ish, here on Facebook. I love you guys tremendously. Like, for real, love you. I'm not fixing to give you any other hurtful things. I'm not fixing to give you anything else that's going to circumcise you tonight. I want you to know that I love you. Like, for real, for real. Because I want your life better. I want you to have the goodness that God desires for you to live out in your lives. So I am just trying to make sure that I keep leaving way for God to keep coming in and flooding your situation, saying what he gives me to say, backing off when he tells me to back off, surrendering to my own circumcision, doing what he's having me to do, and work into the fullness of what's been promised to all of us. Because that's the process. Your portion is coming. But you've got to be at a place that you're ready to receive it, be mature with it, advance with it, and be ready to help somebody else with theirs. Because that's all I'm helping to build you to do. 910 Ridgely Road, Suite H, here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. If there's any inclement weather, y'all know, do whatever you feel. I'm still going to be here. If I got to lock in the hubs and go in 4-wheel drive, I will still have it set up to where y'all are able to get this word. Because I've been working on it all week. And I know it has an appointed release time. So I will make sure it gets released one way or the other. 910 Ridgely Road, Suite H, here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 10 a.m. Saturday morning, Exclusive Ecclesia, around about 10:30ish. I love you all. Y'all keep pressing forward. Keep your eyes on God. Keep doing what he gives you to do. Have a blessed rest of the evening. Peace.